Since the 1970s, penalty shootouts have been the most popular way of settling tiebreakers in football. When a game can't end as a draw, such as a cup final, teams take 5 penalties against each other, and whoever scores the most of those 5 wins the match. If the score is tied after 5, it goes to sudden death, and penalties are taken until one team misses and the other scores. There's been plenty of criticism of the system. Many people complain that it's based on luck rather than skill, but it's at least far better than the past alternative, in which games were decided by, and I kid you not, a coin toss. The first ever penalty shootout in England was between Hull City and Manchester United in the semi-final of the Watney Cup, which was a short-lived tournament that lasted from 1970 to 74. United won the game, with George Best becoming the first player to score in a penalty shootout and Dennis Law becoming the first to miss. The first instance of a penalty shootout in a European Cup was in the 1984 European Cup final between Liverpool and Roma, a shootout most famous for the antics of Liverpool's goalkeeper Bruce Grobbelaar. As Bruce Conti was preparing to take his penalty for Roma, Grobbelaar began to bite the inside of the goal as if pretending to eat spaghetti. A little bit racist, but it did the trick as Conti blasted the ball over the bar. Then, as Francesco Graziani stepped up to take his penalty, Grobbelaar began famously wobbling his legs as if in terror. Graziani also missed, and Grobbelaar's antics went on to win Liverpool the European Cup. Jerzy Dudek took the mantle from Grobbelaar in 2005 against AC Milan in the Champions League final, when he employed similar tactics to win Liverpool the cup. However, showboating isn't limited to goalkeepers. In the 1976 European Championship final, Antonin Panenka deceived the German goalkeeper and lightly dinked the ball down the centre of the goal, thus birthing the Panenka penalty. Some of the most famous cases of the Panenka include Pirlo chipping it past Joe Hart in 2012 so casually you'd think he didn't want to be there, and Zidane's effort that pinged off the crossbar and landed inches beyond the line to give France a 1-0 lead in the 2006 World Cup final. By far the most memorable thing Zidane did in that final, at least off the top of my head. Since its introduction, the shootout format has remained pretty consistent and unchanged, at least in most of the world, but the US just have to be different. The North American Soccer League, and in the MLS for its first 4 seasons, utilise a slightly different form of penalty shootout. Traditionally, the ball is placed 12 yards from the goal, and the player takes a run up and hits the ball with 1 touch. In the American system, the ball starts at the player's feet, 35 yards from goal, and the player has 5 seconds to score with as many touches as they like. It takes heavy inspiration from hockey penalties, and is just brilliant to watch. For the first 4 seasons of the MLS, there were no draws at any point in the season. If a game was tied at full time, it would go to one of these penalty shootouts, and the winner of the shootout would get 1 point instead of a standard 3 for a normal win. Now, as I said, the penalty format has remained relatively unchanged, that is until recently, when certain bodies have tried to introduce the ABBA system, where each team steps up to take a chance twice before moving on to the next team, and if a shootout is still tied after all 11 players on each team have taken a penalty and the order starts over, commentators are contractually obligated to say, "Mamma mia, here we go again." Oh, and before I go, England are really bad at penalties, but what's new?